The season ended earlier than expected for the Golden State Warriors, and the wound has yet to fully heal. The painful elimination by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference semifinals was more than just another defeat. It was a shattered mirror reflecting the vulnerabilities of a dynasty once considered unbeatable. Emotional exhaustion, injuries, veteran inconsistency, and roster imbalance converged into a perfect storm that extinguished hopes of yet another title run. As the players walked off the court with grim expressions, no one seemed more affected than Draymond Green. The veteran, known as much for his intensity as for his emotional outbursts, struggled to contain his frustration. Off the court, criticism and backlash multiplied, and the noise from the stands echoed deep within the soul of a competitor who, for years, was the heart and emotional engine of the team. But while Green was still processing the impact of the fall, something was happening far from the public eye, a strategic silence in stark contrast to the turbulence on the court. A phone call, a name, a whisper from the past. Behind the scenes in the San Francisco franchise, away from microphones and journalists, conversations began to take shape. A bold idea started circulating among executives. What if there was a chance, no matter how small, to bring back a figure who, for 3 seasons, embodied excellence, offensive power, and absolute dominance? Kevin Durant. Yes, the same Durant who was central to the championship campaigns between 2016 and 2019. The same Durant who shared the court with Curry and Green and etched his name in the history books with 2 titles and 2 Finals MVP awards. The same Durant who left the franchise seeking new challenges, but whose connection with the Warriors was never truly severed. The talks, though discreet, were real. During the final stretch of the trade window in February, the Warriors explored the possibility of bringing Durant back. It was an attempt laced with emotion, strategy, and, perhaps, a touch of desperation. Rekindling the brilliance of that legendary trio could be the spark needed to break the stagnation and transform the team into a contender once more. However, the response was not encouraging. The star made it clear, away from cameras, that he had no interest in moving, at least not at that moment. His desire was to stay where he was, even if the winds weren't favorable. The Warriors' front office, despite the rejection, knew the value of having tried. Such opportunities don't come often, and every closed window might mark the end of an era. While San Francisco absorbed the vapors of a failed attempt, a crisis was rapidly unfolding in the Arizona desert. The Phoenix Suns, stacked with stars, saw their project collapse with a bang. Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal formed a trio that on paper dazzled, but in practice, reality was harsh. The team not only missed the playoffs, they didn't even make the play-in tournament, a disappointment of epic proportions. The frustration ran so deep that the front office acted swiftly. Head coach Mike Budenholzer was fired, a move that laid bare the internal chaos. And soon after, a bombshell hit the NBA market. Durant could finally be traded this summer. That reignited the spark in San Francisco. Shams Charania, a respected ESPN journalist, confirmed that intense negotiations are expected, which reopened discussions among fans and analysts. Bringing Durant back was no longer just a nostalgic dream. It became a concrete possibility, though filled with obstacles and tough choices. Durant, even at 36 and with an injury history that can't be ignored, still plays at an elite level. His averages last season speak for themselves: 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game, with absurd shooting efficiency. 52.7% from the field, 43% from three-point range, and nearly 84% from the free throw line. With 1 year left on his contract, Durant represents both risk and hope. Risk, due to his age and physical toll. Hope, because he remains one of the most lethal and intelligent players in the league. It was in this context that Andy Bailey of Bleacher Report presented a bold proposal. Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and a 2027 first-round pick would be offered to the Suns in exchange for Durant. A daring move, blending pragmatism with emotion, demanding that the Warriors' front office make a decision that could shape the franchise's next decade. Sacrificing the young core means letting go of tomorrow. Kuminga is about to become a restricted free agent, and his value keeps rising. Podziemski has shown versatility and game intelligence, while Moody continues to develop. And Buddy Hield, though recently acquired, brings immediate firepower. Losing all these names along with a draft pick would be a full-blown short-term gamble. However, the return is no ordinary player. Durant is a rare cog, capable of transforming an offense and completely shifting a team's dynamics. And what if he wasn't the only one? Behind the scenes, another colossal name is beginning to circulate. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Milwaukee Bucks star, has reached a critical juncture in his career. After years of failed attempts to rebuild around his talent, patience seems to be wearing thin. The departure of Damian Lillard and the collective failure of the latest campaign have placed the franchise in an uncertain position. Sources close to the NBA suggest that a trade request may be very near. For the Warriors, the possibility of landing Giannis is nearly irresistible. He is younger than Durant, still in the prime of his athletic peak, and could be the centerpiece of a new era. However, the cost would be sky-high, perhaps even greater than what it would take to acquire Durant. A deal for Giannis would require nearly the same package of young talent, plus a monumental financial and logistical effort. The presence of names like Curry, Green, and Jimmy Butler still gives the roster identity and star power, but age comes for everyone. The window for another title is still open, but not for long. That's why every decision made now carries the weight of legacy. Stephen Curry has publicly stated his belief in the current core. To him, if everyone were healthy, the Warriors could have gone much further. He believes in the chemistry, the shared history, and the mutual understanding. But even Curry knows time is relentless, and the NBA waits for no one. The next moves by the front office will determine whether the franchise continues to pursue championships or begins preparing for a transition. Bringing Durant back would reignite glorious memories. Betting on Giannis would be a leap into the future. Sticking with the current core would signal faith in continuity. Each path is loaded with risks and possibilities, and at the center of it all stands the Warriors fan, torn between nostalgia and hope, between what once worked and what might work again. The question lingers: return to the past to claim one more glory, or build a new future with the pieces still waiting to blossom? This decision won't be easy. But one thing is certain: the months ahead will be explosive. The future, however, is not decided solely by statistics, contracts, or projections. It is shaped by the sensitivity of the leaders, the scenario reading of the coaches, and the courage of a management team that has already proven it knows when to bet and when to wait. And this, perhaps, is the greatest dilemma for the Warriors since the beginning of the Steve Kerr era: how to make a decision that honors the past without sabotaging tomorrow. Because, on one hand, bringing Kevin Durant back could instantly reignite the championship chance, but on the other, it could mean abandoning a project that has been carefully built since the 2020 season. It's not just about numbers or individual talents. It's about what each name carries, what each decision communicates to the group, to the fans, to the league. When Durant left San Francisco years ago, it was a painful but necessary breakup for both sides. He was seeking his own narrative, free from the burden of standing alongside an already established system. The Warriors, for their part, reinvented themselves, even with seasons below expectations, and returned to the top in 2022 with a title that seemed unlikely. That achievement was the direct result of the bet on the new generation: Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, and the emergence of the seeds that now flourish in Kuminga, Moody, and other young players. Now, with the possibility of Durant's return or Giannis's arrival, the scales tip again. Past success is a difficult temptation to resist, but the risk of losing what has been built in recent years is also enormous. If the Warriors truly decide to enter into negotiations with the Phoenix Suns, it will take more than technical assets. The management will need to convince Durant, today a different man than the one who left years ago, that there is a new purpose there, beyond just the simple pursuit of another ring. He will need to feel that there is room for him, that the story can be rewritten without the same conflicts as before, not just on the court, but off it. This emotional aspect is often ignored when we talk about major trades, but in Durant's case, it is essential. The Golden State locker room today is not the same as the one that welcomed him in 2016. The atmosphere has changed, the characters have evolved, and Draymond Green, a key piece in the troubled coexistence of the past, would have to be part of the reconciliation process. The relationship between the two has never been simple, but perhaps now, more mature and facing the twilight of their careers, they could find common ground. Giannis, on the other hand, represents something completely different. It is not the past he would bring with him, but the promise of a new kind of future. Dominant, athletic, unstoppable near the rim, the Greek freak still has at least 4 or 5 years of elite performance ahead. His style isn't exactly the easiest fit in Kerr's system, but pure talent opens space on its own. And imagining Giannis and Curry sharing the same court, one breaking down defenses with explosion, the other manipulating time with court vision and shooting, is a dream hard to ignore. The big question is, what is the cost of each bet? Both the Suns and the Bucks know that any trade involving their stars can only happen with a robust package. And the Warriors, with their experienced core and a promising young base, are one of the few franchises with enough pieces to make those negotiations progress. The temptation is immense, but the risk is real, because if the move goes wrong, whether due to injuries, lack of chemistry, or simply because too much time has passed, the franchise could drift for years. Without young stars, without draft picks, without the stamina to compete, and without room to rebuild. The line between glory and failure is extremely thin, especially in a league as ruthless as the NBA. That's why the 2025 offseason carries existential weight for the Warriors. More than ever, management needs to understand who they want to be in the next 5 years. A team aiming for a title now at any cost? Or a project that wants to remain competitive for another decade, even if that means giving up established names and past glories. Steve Kerr, as the team's leader since the Golden Era, also has a voice in this process. His philosophy has always valued team play, movement without the ball, tactical intelligence. Bringing a superstar to the roster, whether Durant again or Giannis, will require profound adjustments. The system would have to be adapted. The egos of veteran players would need to be managed with extreme sensitivity, and the minutes of the young players would likely be drastically reduced. Additionally, there is a question of legacy, not just the franchise's legacy, but Curry's. The point guard is approaching the end of his career, and his legacy as the greatest Warrior of all time is consolidated. But he still wants to win. He still believes he can. And if that means sharing the court again with Durant, or starting a new cycle alongside Giannis, the decision will be his as well. Behind the scenes, of course, things are boiling. Meetings have already begun. Proposals are being drafted. Agents have been contacted. Rumors grow hotter by the day, and fan expectations rise in equal measure. Because in the end, everyone wants to know, what will the Warriors choose? Nostalgia, wrapped in the return of a star who helped build a golden era, or the audacity to open a new chapter with one of the most dominant forces of today, or, and this is the most conservative hypothesis, to keep everything as it is, trusting that the chemistry, maturity, and continuity of the current group can produce one more miracle. No path is free from pain. Each will require deep sacrifices, unpopular decisions, emotional ruptures. But it is also true that no dynasty is built without boldness. And if there is one thing the Warriors know well, it is the courage to bet big. What is at stake is not just the 2025-26 season, it is the legacy. Is it the last dance, or is it the first step of a new cycle? The current silence is just the calm before the storm. Because when the phone rings, whether for Durant, Giannis, or any other name capable of changing the game, someone will have to say, yes. And in that yes may lie the answer that will define an era. While the backstage is boiling, the spotlight turns to the quietest, yet perhaps the most impactful figure in this whole plot, Stephen Curry. a leader par excellence but of measured speech, who rarely shows emotions in public, yet moves the locker room with unquestionable authority and respect. From the beginning of the dynasty, he was the one who shaped the environment. The culture of collectivity, the absence of star ego, the lightness within such a brutal sport. Now, with the possibility of a radical shakeup in the roster, what does Curry really think? Internal sources reveal that the point guard sees time as his main adversary, not the time on the scoreboard, but the other, crueler one, the one that corrodes the knees, reduces speed, and turns epic nights into silent battles against exhaustion. He knows he is closer to the end than to the peak, and this puts him in a unique position. Perhaps he has never had so much influence on the franchise's decisions as he does now. His opinion could be decisive, and although he does not openly ask for it, Curry wants help. He wants names by his side who share the responsibility, who carry the weight. He loves the young players, believes in them, but knows that development takes time, and time is what he has least of. That is why the idea of a superstar has returned to the radar, not out of vanity, but out of urgency. At the same time, he carries with him the memory of old fractures. He knows how much the arrival of a star can rearrange the entire emotional hierarchy of a roster. He saw this with Durant. He saw this with Wiggins. He understands that for every reinforcement that arrives, something is lost. Space, minutes, voice, and often what is lost weighs as much as what is gained. Draymond Green also finds himself at a crossroads. His temperament has always been both fuel and obstacle at the same time. The emotional engine of the Warriors, yes, but also the source of conflicts that, in some seasons, threaten to implode the locker room. However, Green seems to have better understood his role over the years. With more control, more maturity. At least that is what the team hopes. His presence in any future scenario, with Durant or Giannis, will be essential, either as a link or as an obstacle. And then there's Jimmy Butler, a fierce competitor, with a history of leading teams with sheer willpower. His possible stay, or departure, will also impact what's to come. He arrived to be the defensive and emotional difference in the team, an ideal complement to Curry. But injuries and advanced age are starting to raise question marks. Butler, at 35, refuses to be a supporting player, and this stance could clash with other names if there is yet another star on the roster. This is the atmosphere breathed inside the Chase Center, a delicate balance between ambition and caution, between past and future, between faith in those who have already brought glory and the need to make space for new protagonists. Behind all this, the front office watches. Every move is calculated. Every call, every rumor is tested against real possibilities. The salary cap is tight, the luxury tax looms, and the NBA, with its new rules for containing super teams, demands legal and financial juggling that goes far beyond the court. The general manager, together with the analysis and scouting team, maps scenarios. If Durant returns, who leaves? Who accepts being a reserve? Who agrees to renegotiate salary? If Giannis is brought in, how do we adapt the system, rotations, defensive schemes? And if neither of them comes, how do we prevent Curry from getting frustrated and demanding more radical changes? The average fan may not notice, but these questions hover over every practice, every staff meeting, every tactical plan, and the answer to all of them is starting to take shape now in the offseason. The summer voluntary workouts approach. It's the moment when veterans and rookies meet away from the spotlight, where alliances are formed and egos are tested, where Coach Steve Kerr can, away from the media, observe who is committed and who no longer fits. There, on the secondary courts, much more is decided than physical conditioning. The tone is set, the energy, the commitment. Jonathan Kuminga, for example, has shown improvement. Technique, strength, game reading, everything has improved since last season. But he knows he is at the center of all speculation, and that weighs. You play differently when you feel disposable, when you know that at any moment, your name could be part of a trade package. Still, Kuminga seems determined to prove he deserves to stay, and that attitude can count much more than any stat line. Brandon Podziemski, the young point guard with refined tactical intelligence and a reliable shot, also appears as a valuable trade asset. His fit with Curry was better than many expected, but it's undeniable that in a team full of veterans, he needs space and time to flourish, and that time might be bought with another jersey, somewhere else. Meanwhile, the rivals are moving. Teams like the Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, and even the young and hungry Oklahoma City Thunder are already positioning themselves. They know that if the Warriors make a big move, the balance of power in the league changes, and nobody wants to be caught off guard. Backstage, talks cross paths. A move in San Francisco could provoke a response in Milwaukee. A negotiation in Phoenix could be the conclusion or the trigger for a trade in Miami. It's a continental chess game. And at the center of it all, the Warriors, a team with identity, history, and fans, a team that marked a generation, redefined the way basketball is played, a team that now, faced with all options, needs to decide what kind of story it still wants to tell. Durant's return, the rebirth with Giannis, or persistence in their own project. Each choice has a cost, and none of them is small, but it's also true. No legend was written with easy decisions. The season hasn't even started yet, but the game, the real game, is already underway. The Golden State Warriors have always had a special talent for standing out, not only through their on-court performance, but also in how they build their identity and connect with fans. The potential arrival of Sotto to the roster wouldn't just be a technical reinforcement, but a strategic move that could expand the franchise's global influence, connecting different cultures and markets around the world. With a massive fan base in the Philippines, where he is seen as a sports icon, Sotto could be the bridge that tightens the bonds between the NBA and millions of Asian fans. His presence on the Warriors could elevate the team's popularity in Asia, especially in the Philippines, a country where basketball is more than just a sport. It's a true national passion. This move would create a new wave of dedicated fans, increasing engagement and further strengthening the Warriors' brand. Beyond the direct impact on the Filipino community, Sotto's arrival could further expand the franchise's reach in international markets. The Warriors have always known how to turn their on-court success into a globally recognized brand, and Sotto could be an essential piece to drive this expansion. With a growing presence in Asia, the team could explore new commercial and strategic opportunities, solidifying their position as one of the most influential franchises in the NBA. But Sotto's impact goes far beyond marketing and the global expansion of the Warriors brand. He has become an inspiration to thousands of young athletes, especially in the Philippines, and his journey proves that basketball can be a powerful tool for change and opportunity. His path shows that with dedication and effort, it's possible to rise from less favorable circumstances and carve out a space among the best in the world. For the new generations, Sotto's rise represents more than just a distant dream. He is the living proof that talent and hard work can overcome barriers. Many young people look up to him and see not just a promising player, but an example of perseverance and courage. Someone who decided to face greater challenges and proved that he can compete at the highest level. If incorporated into the Warriors roster, would have the opportunity to further develop his skills in an environment that values both individual and collective growth. Under the guidance of Coach Steve Kerr, who has always prioritized player development and building trust, Sotto could refine his game and reach a new level, both offensively and defensively. The Warriors system has always stood out for its fluidity, constant movement, and collective play. The team's philosophy is based on floor spacing and active participation from all players in plays, which fits well with Sotto's playing style. With his versatility and tactical intelligence, he could add new possibilities to the team's scheme, strengthening the group even more. Defensively, Sotto's ability to protect the rim and dominate rebounds could be a key differentiator. He has the potential to become a modern center who not only defends effectively, but also contributes offensively, particularly with mid-range shots. Few players in his position have this combination of skills, and it could give the Warriors a new dynamic, keeping the team competitive and unpredictable for their opponents. Another important point is Sotto's adaptability. The Warriors have always required their players to be versatile, and he fits this profile perfectly. In addition to acting as a rim protector, Kai could be a playmaker, helping in the offensive transition and offering new options for the team to explore. One of the greatest advantages for Kai in joining the Warriors would be the chance to play alongside basketball legends like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. The presence of these veterans on the roster would provide invaluable experience for the young player, who could absorb knowledge and learn directly from two of the most intelligent and strategic players in the league. Curry, globally recognized as one of the greatest shooters in history, is an example of dedication and constant evolution. Having the opportunity to play alongside him would allow Kai Sotto to improve his game reading and further develop his decision-making ability on the court. On the other hand, Draymond Green's leadership and basketball IQ could be pivotal for Kai's growth. Green is known for his game vision and defensive skills, and his mentorship could help Sotto adapt to the NBA's physical and intense playing style. With Green as a guide, Kai could learn to use his height and wingspan as efficiently as possible, becoming an even more valuable asset for the team. Kai Sotto's presence would not be limited to his impact on the court. The Golden State Warriors have always embraced diversity and inclusion, reflecting the multicultural spirit of Silicon Valley. The arrival of a highly projected Filipino player would further strengthen this identity and create an even deeper bond with the Filipino community, which already has a strong presence in the Bay Area. Additionally, the franchise could leverage this connection to promote social and cultural initiatives, organizing special events and actions aimed at engaging Filipino fans. This would not only strengthen the relationship between the team and its fans, but also expand the NBA's global presence, reinforcing the cultural impact of basketball worldwide. On the commercial side, the potential signing of Kai Sotto would bring significant impact. His popularity would drive brands and sponsors to show even greater interest in the Warriors, capitalizing on the visibility he would bring, especially in the Asian market. Sales of official products, such as jerseys and other items related to the player, would experience a major boost, further increasing the team's revenue. The commercial impact would extend to TV broadcasts, advertising deals, and even strategic partnerships to strengthen the Warriors' presence in one of the fastest-growing sports markets in the world. The NBA has always been a league known for its ability to reach global audiences, and Kai Sotto's arrival at the Golden State Warriors could further intensify this expansion. He wouldn't just be another player on the roster, but a symbol of a new phase for the franchise, one that seeks to reinforce its international presence and conquer new audiences. His signing would not only be a commercial move, but also an opportunity to add talent and versatility to the team. Steve Kerr would have the mission of adapting the team's tactical scheme to integrate a center with Sotto's characteristics, making the most of his qualities within a system that values movement, collectivity, and basketball intelligence. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of the next news. Your support is crucial for us to continue bringing everything about our team. See you in the next video.